Hey, what's up? It's Breyonna. So today we're going to be going in with another one of the Juvias Place the Rebel quads, and of course we're going to be going in with the Rebel Grays. I asked you guys over on Instagram which palette I should go in with first, and so many people were torn between the Army palette as well as the Grays, but the Army palette did win right away because it won by 2 points again. Super close call, but I did go in with that one first, and if you'd like to check out that video, I'll have it linked in the description box down below for you. But because it was such a close call, I'm going to go in with the Grays next. And also, I'm so curious about this one because it just has such a cool vibe for a gray palette. I mean, look at this color story. It's very like icy and silvery, whereas I feel like a lot of gray palettes, they're a little bit more on the blue side or taupe side, whereas this one to me is like silvery true grays. And again, if you'd like to see any of the other looks I have done using the Rebel quads, I'll have them all linked in the description box down below for you. So I just pried my eyes, but the first shade I want to go in with is this lighter kind of like silvery color, and this one does look like a matte from a distance, but it's actually a satin. It does have like a slight sheen to it. And I will warn you, the shade's a little bit powdery in the pan. It's not bad, but it does create a little bit of a mess. And I'm just going to be taking it on this big old fluffy brush from ColourPop. This is an E2. And I'm just going to be popping it right in that crease. Ooh, that's a little bit on the sheer side right away. I'm also going to kind of like wing out the edge a little bit too. But dang, I was not expecting it to be that sheer right away. So I'm just going to go in with a little bit more on my brush, and let's see if it layers up. Yeah, like this one's very sheer. But you can kind of see it is a satin. I don't know if you can see it on my camera or not, but when I like tilt my head, it has just a slight sheen to it. Now, I will warn you, this is one of those shades that kind of like over blends itself, but it doesn't look patchy on the eye. It just kind of goes a little bit higher than you want it to be. It actually got in my brow a little bit. But you see what I mean? Like it's even underneath my arch and I didn't place it there, which is a little bit frustrating. You know, this is kind of reminding me of is when I was in junior high, I used to wear like this silvery icy shade all over my lid up to my brow, and that was like it with a ton of mascara. And I don't know if you guys did that too, but it's just bringing me back. I think it was a trend in the early 2000s, late 90s, I'm not too sure. But it really reminds me of like that Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera kind of era. But let's go in with the deepest matte shade in here. And this one is 100% matte. But I'm just going to be taking it on this brush from Anastasia. It's an 825. And I'm just going to pop it right in that crease. Ooh, I really like that color. It's a little bit more on the sheer side. But it isn't giving me like any harsh lines or chunkiness. But I am going to go in with a second layer. And again, I am kind of like winging out this outer edge. I'm not rounding out the outer V. Because I kind of want to do a winged out shape today. You know, I'm really curious to see how a third layer is going to be. Yeah, like this shade is like super, super buildable. Normally Juvia's Place is really pigmented. But it just seems like this shade, you just need to layer a little bit more. You know, I'm going to go in with the fourth layer. Yeah, like this shade is really, really buildable. Again, normally Juvia's is really pigmented, but for some odd reason the shades in here are a little bit more on the buildable side. Which I personally don't mind, but I'm actually surprised that they are so buildable because again, normally Juvia's is very pigmented right away. One thing that's kind of bumming me out is that you can see in the pan, this shade is really dark and smoky and just very rich. Whereas on the eye, it doesn't match it even after 4 layers. Like I'm a little bit bummed because I really was hoping for a shade like this to be applied. Because you know, I like a lot of smokiness and like richness in my crease. But unfortunately, even after 4 layers, I can't get it this deep. Yeah, this is about as dark as it's gonna get, which is unfortunate because I wanted a little bit more smoky, but I can't. So this is what we're gonna be working with. But to cut the crease today, I'm just gonna go in with my ABH eye primer. This is the eye primer that I used today as well. And I'm just going to take a little bit on this Sigma fine liner brush. It's called an E10. And again, I want to do one of those like full cut creases, I think is what it's called, like the full shebang, you know, not just like a half cut crease. So I'm first just going to go slightly above my natural crease and follow this shape. Now you can leave it at a half cut crease if that's what you want, but again, I want to do a full cut crease. So at the tail here, I'm just going to extend it going right underneath my natural brow bone. You can feel it with your finger. I'm just going to go right under it and wing it up. So now I'm just going to take a little bit more of that ABH eye primer on this number 18 brush from Anastasia. It's kind of like a synthetic concealer brush. And I'm just going to fill in everything underneath of that line. I gotta be honest, I'm just not as wowed by this palette as I thought I was going to be. Like even after like cutting the crease, I'm just a little bit more meh about it. So now let's go in with these shimmers, and I don't know how this is going to look because these shimmers in here do look fairly similar in tone. Maybe they're going to apply different, I'm not sure. But the first one I'm going to go in with is the deeper one. And I kind of want to do like a halo style on the lid. I think that'd be really cool. But I'm just going to be taking it on a little flat shader brush. Again, I'm going to apply it dry, not damp. So I'm first just going to apply it to the outer third maybe? Yeah. And if it goes down a little bit, don't worry about it. I'm just going to take a makeup remover, kind of like cotton round, and clean it up after I do my wing. But now this shimmer has a lot of dimension to it. And then now for the inner third. You see what I mean though? It just has like this wet metallic kind of sheen to it. Super reflective. And then for the center, I'm just going to go in with the last shimmer shade. Again, I'm just going to be going in with a different brush. I'm just going to pop it right in the center. Like, it's different. It's actually a little bit lighter. But honestly, I don't feel like I would need both of these shimmers in this palette. I wish that the darker shimmer was a little bit darker. But again, super pretty and has like that wet metallic kind of like foiled look to it. I'm just taking whatever's left on my brush and then feathering it into the deeper shimmer. So I just did my complexion products off camera and also added these little rhinestones on the cut crease itself. I did like 5 on each eye, but let's start working on the lower lash line. And I'm first just going to go in with that deeper matte shade. And I'm just going to be taking it on this little shader brush from Morphe. I'm just going to be popping this as close as I can to where my lashes grow out. Really like pressing it in. Now I'm just going to go in with that lighter satin shade that we used first in the crease, and using this little blending brush, I'm just going to pop it right underneath, just to help further blend it out. And then lastly for the inner corner highlight, I'm just going to go in with that lighter shimmer shade that we used in the center of the lid. I'm just going to take it on this little pencil brush, and this one's from Morphe, it's an M431. And again, I'm just going to pop it super heavy in that inner corner. And icy white would be really cool here too. But I'm trying to use only this palette. But if you really want to like amp it up, like an icy white would look amazing. At the end of the day, I think I got a really cute look with this palette, but I'll be honest, it is definitely not my favorite Juvia's Place palette by no means. Like this one to me is just kind of like a matte palette. Like if you already bought it, I don't think it's terrible, but it's definitely not my new favorite. Like if you're on the fence about it, I would just pass on it because I think there's better gray palettes out there on the market. Because again, like these two shades that we used in the crease, like this first one, this satin one, this one just overblends itself and gets everywhere, like anywhere you don't want it to be, it's probably going to go. And this deepest shade in the palette, this one looks absolutely beautiful in the pan, but even after 4 layers, I could not get it to look like it does in the pan, which really bummed me out because again, I like really dark and smoky looks, and I just felt like I couldn't get that richness that this shade looks in the pan when applied. I am so surprised that I couldn't get this deeper shade in here to be as pigmented as I wanted it to be, because Juvia's is known for pigmentation and having like really rich shades, but for some odd reason like this shade just did not give me that. Now as for the shimmers in here, they're just like all of my other Juvia's Place palettes. They are very creamy, pigmented, and have a lot of dimension to them. The only thing is that these two shimmers look near identical when applied. I mean, you can't even really see much of a difference. Like the lighter one is slightly lighter, but again, I don't feel like I need both of these shades in the exact same palette, especially with this one being a quad. Like if it were me, I would just take this deeper shade and make it like a little bit deeper, you know, maybe like a charcoal kind of color or like a smoky kind of like gray, you know, just so there's a little bit more differentiation between the two. I am so bummed about this palette because going into this, I thought this was going to be one of my new favorite gray palettes because it is so hard to find nice grays. And Juvia's again has one of my favorite formulas. I love their mattes and their shimmers. They are both amazing, but this one just was not it for me. And if you're looking for a really good gray palette, I would actually recommend the ColourPop Stone Cold Fox, one of my favorite palettes in my collection. Literally has any kind of cool tone neutral or gray that you would ever need. But yeah, so in the comments down below, let me know what you think about this look, and also let me know which palette I should use next out of the Rebel quads. But as always though, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and also give this video a like. And if you'd like to check me out over on Instagram or TikTok, it's at Breyonna as well. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!